What if you could escape the harsh winters and live in paradise on a budget? Is Thailand really the winter haven it's cracked up to be, or does it have its hidden challenges? Hey there, blue sky travelers. If you're nearing retirement, semi-retired, or even a long-term traveler looking to leave the cold gray winters behind, today's video is just for you. We're going to dive into the pros and cons of wintering in Thailand, specifically southwest Thailand and the islands in the southern Gulf, one of the most popular destinations for those seeking sunshine, culture, and a new way of life. Whether you're imagining yourself laying on the beach, drinking a cold beverage, or exploring the vibrant markets or the temples, this video will cover everything that you need to know before making Thailand your winter escape. And at the end, I'll also give you suggestions for other places in Southeast Asia that I think you're gonna love. So grab a cup of something warm and let's jump right in. Let's start with the exciting stuff, the pros of wintering in Thailand. First off, let's talk about cost of living, and it's a big one. Thailand offers an incredibly affordable lifestyle compared to many Western countries. For those staying a month or longer, you can rent a one-bedroom in Phuket or Ao Nang for about $400 a month. If you need a little bit more space, you can pick up a two-bedroom for somewhere between $600 and $800 a month. If you're used to paying $1,500 a month for something back home, these savings are huge. Another area that you're going to find big savings is food. Eating out in Thailand is super cheap. In fact, most visitors don't even bother going out and buying a bunch of groceries and trying to cook. The street food is delicious, and it'll only cost you a couple of bucks for a satisfying meal. Imagine enjoying pad thai in the streets of Phuket for only $3. If you're looking at maintaining a budget, I'd recommend staying away from Western restaurants, seafood, and Indian cuisine. Everything else is quite cheap, and you're going to live like kings and queens for next to nothing. While you may find yourself getting a craving for something familiar from back home, keep in mind local restaurants don't have the same ingredients, so while it may say the item you're looking for on the menu, it's just never going to taste quite right, and you'll end up leaving the restaurant still craving the food, and your wallet is going to be a lot lighter. Roma and I actually did that. We went out to a restaurant one day because we were feeling like hamburgers. So we went, we had the food. While it was tasty, it wasn't quite the same as what we would have gotten back home. And we spent about $15 per person, not including alcohol, for just a hamburger. So in the end, we didn't really get what we wanted, which was a little bit disappointing. If you're enjoying this video so far, please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on more travel tips, advice, and inspiration. If you're looking for something sweet to finish off your meal, prepare to be amazed. Fresh fruit in Thailand is delicious and super affordable. You'll find fresh fruits including mangoes, pineapples, and coconuts readily available in the street markets. They put them onto skewers so you can grab 2 or 3 and enjoy them as you wander about the market, looking at the other delicacies available for tomorrow's meal. And the nice thing about them being all prepped for you is you don't have to worry about any of the skin or the peels, because that's generally the part that'll make you sick. And you don't want to end up with what the locals like to call Thailand tummy. Another massive perk, Thailand is always sunny. Well, almost always. While you're shivering in the snow back home, here they're soaking up the sun and the warmth. Thailand has a tropical climate with temperatures between 75 and 100 degrees all year round. The rainy season ends in October or early November, making December to April the perfect time to visit. And actually, that works out just great for us in North America, because that's when we are looking to escape the dark, cold, dreary winters. Now, if you love warm weather and playing in the water, you'll be very happy to learn that Thailand has almost 1,000 islands and 1,500 miles of coastline, which means an abundance of beaches. Whether you're into lounging in the soft white sand, swimming in the crystal clear waters, enjoying water sports, or jumping into a game of beach volleyball, Thailand has the perfect beach for you. I personally love taking long walks on the beach, and I found Thailand's beaches to be absolutely perfect for that. They were long and flat, easy to walk on. There was very little tidal activity, so I never was worried about big waves crashing into me. And the other nice thing is the beaches tend to go for miles. So you don't have to worry about taking the little short walks back and forth between two different places. You can walk and enjoy the sunshine and the sand and the sea. When you finish your walk on the beach and want to go exploring, you'll find Thailand very easy to get around. There are buses and trains for land travel, speedboats and ferries for getting back and forth between the islands, all of which are readily available, efficient, and affordable. While on the islands and in the towns, getting around is made easy by what we like to call scooterability. Scooter rentals are very cheap, and it's a really fun way to get around town. They're a great mode of travel for two people, they're versatile, easy to drive, and you can park them pretty much anywhere. I will say that even after 25 years of not riding on a motorcycle, I found scootering to be very enjoyable and very easy to get a hang of. That being said, I don't think I would have jumped right onto one in Bangkok or Phuket. Just everything is a little bit too busy there for that. We took advantage of being on the small island of 𝐾𝐨𝐤𝐿 as a time for me to get acclimatized to riding on a scooter again. After a week there, I was very comfortable driving one in the busier center of Ao Nang, where we spent another week. So if you're looking for a great way to get around in Thailand, I'd highly recommend renting a scooter. Moving on to pro number 5, Thailand has become quite well known over the past decade for its world-class medical care and economical fee structures, which make it a popular destination for Westerners looking to avoid the long wait times that we seem to have back home. A big benefit, of course, in Thailand is the costs can be as much as 75% cheaper than what you would get in North America. A couple of good examples of this: LASIK surgery in Thailand will run you about $2,000 for both eyes. Back home, you're looking at somewhere between $2,500 to $4,000 per eye. If you're someone who's looking to get knee replacement surgery, Thailand is also a good location for that. Getting one knee done will run you somewhere between $5,000 to $12,000. The average cost in the US is about $25,000 for the surgery. Another big one for a lot of people in our age demographic tends to be hip replacement surgery. You can get that in Thailand for $8,000 to $12,000, where back home you're generally going to be in around $40,000 for the same surgery. And really, if you're thinking about getting one of these things done, what better place to recuperate than in a warm, sunny, tropical location with beautiful beaches? Now the next pro is one that many travelers don't factor in when deciding where to take their slow travels or long-term getaway. Now this is one that can add tremendous value to your time away. And really, it's one of Roma's absolute favorites. We're going to call this one Pampering and Personal Care. The economy of Thailand allows Westerners to enjoy a very high standard of living compared to what they can get back home. Now you can pamper yourself in Thailand with a lot of personal care for next to nothing. A full body 1-hour massage is going to run you about $10. A manicure, $5. Pedicure, $10. Guys, if you're looking to get your hair cut, go into the barber shop, it's going to run you about $15. And when it comes time to get the laundry done, they'll do that for you as well. It's about $2 to get 5 pounds of laundry washed, dried, and ironed. And really, for that price, why would you even want to think about doing it yourself? If you're a digital nomad or semi-retired but still working part-time remotely, Thailand is a great base. Cities like Phuket are popular hubs for digital nomads, with co-working spaces, reliable internet, and a growing community. And our last pro, Thailand is a great jumping off point for exploring other areas in Southeast Asia. Countries like Bali, Vietnam, Malaysia, Singapore are all just a short flight away, giving you endless opportunities to explore this beautiful part of the world. So if you're retired, semi-retired, or just contemplating a travel lifestyle, Thailand really should be a location that you strongly consider. For most people, it would likely tick off a lot of boxes of what makes an ideal travel destination for stays of a month or longer. Great weather, idyllic locations, economical food and accommodations, and throw in a little bit of pampering and personal care, and you have one of the best places in the world to spend your winter months. Now let's talk about some of the cons, because let's face it, every paradise has its downside, and understanding these will help you to make a more informed decision. One of the first things we need to talk about in the con section is language barrier. In the bigger centers like Bangkok and Phuket, you'll find it a fair amount, but once you get outside of those, you're not going to really find much of it. That being said, the locals are pretty patient, and if you use your apps, you're going to be able to get along just fine. We found that Google Translate was a godsend when we traveled through Thailand. We used it pretty much every day when we were out in restaurants and in stores. We found that most of the people were very happy when we pulled it out. We would speak into it and it would translate for us what we were looking for or questions that we had, and they were able to respond in kind through the app. So if you're going to Thailand, I would highly recommend downloading the app before you get on the plane. If Thailand is somewhere that you want to spend your winters over a longer period of time, another great option is to sign up for Duolingo and enjoy learning a new language. Another big factor for us traveling from North America to Thailand is the time it takes to get there. As you may know, Thailand is a long way from North America. Flight times for a direct flight are going to be anywhere from 12 to 15, maybe 17 hours. And if you factor in layovers, quite often that'll run into 25 to 30 hours. And no matter how old you are, that travel time is going to take its toll on you for many days after you arrive. Jet lag will definitely shorten your vacation time by several days. Now the long flights lead us to our next, less than positive item on our list, the big cost of travel. Flights from pretty much anywhere in North America are going to set you back in the $2,000 range per person return. Now, if you're like us and you don't like to spend 24 hours in a plane, a great option is taking a layover. Some popular cities for layovers from North America include Hong Kong, Taipei, Seoul, and Dubai. A lot of airlines will let you take a break in your flight with a layover in these cities. This will help you in terms of the effect on your body and making it so the flight isn't quite as long. But the big factor in this is staying in these cities doesn't tend to be cheap. They're all large cities, and an average hotel is going to run you in the neighborhood of $200 plus per night for as many nights as you decide to stay. This, of course, takes away from your budget for the time that you're going to spend in Thailand. Now, when you get to Thailand, you're going to be dealing with a few things that are obviously a little bit different than they are back home. One of the big ones is the infrastructure. Southeast Asia, much like South America and Central America, hasn't had the resources or a cohesive long-term plan to develop its cities and towns. What that means for you is that navigating the city streets can be a real challenge. You'll find that the walking terrains change constantly. As you're walking down the side of the road, you'll find random sets of stairs and large holes in the walkways, making it very easy to trip and fall. This is definitely not an area that we would recommend walking to anybody that has any sort of visual or physical impairments. If you're someone who walks with a cane, you'll find it quite difficult to do any walking in most areas that we went to in Thailand. A lot of times there isn't really a sidewalk. You end up walking on the side of the road, and you really need to be careful because you don't have the right of way as a pedestrian in this country. If you do find a sidewalk, they'll run for a little while and then they'll all of a sudden just stop, and there won't be anywhere for you to walk, so you end up having to try to cross the street. And if you happen to get lucky and there's actually a crosswalk at that location, crosswalks aren't quite like they are back home. Nobody really pays that much attention to them. So you kind of end up in a bit of a game of Frogger where you walk a little bit, then you stop to let a few vehicles pass, and then you go a little further, and then you continue to walk across the road. So it is a little bit of a dangerous game. And another thing you really need to keep in mind is when you are walking or trying to cross the roads, you need to keep your eyes open for scooters and tuk-tuks. They're driving and they're trying to make sure that they're keeping out of the way of cars and trucks, so they're not really looking for you as a pedestrian to be jumping out in front of them. And once again, pedestrians don't have the right of way. And when you're in the larger centers, the streets can be quite crowded and there's a lot of congestion. The other thing you'll notice is that public restrooms aren't really available here, and you also won't find them in a lot of the small shops and restaurants, so not quite as convenient as what we might be used to back home. Our next con is not something that we're really used to in the West. While the locals are very warm and friendly, their livelihood depends on you spending money in their shops and in their restaurants. You'll find that as you're walking down the street, you will very often be accosted by people trying to convince you that their restaurant is the best, that this particular dish is something that you really need to have, this article of clothing is something that you have to have as well. Everywhere you go, people are trying to get you into their stall or their shop to spend money on what they're trying to sell you. Now, you might not think this is such a big deal, but when you deal with it day after day after day for months on end, it can really get somewhat uncomfortable, and you don't really want to be rude by rejecting them, but of course you also can't stop at every shop where somebody is trying to get you in to spend your money. After all, one of the big reasons you came to Thailand is that it is a budget friendly for you to spend your months in the winter. Like any popular tourist destination, Thailand has its share of scams and tourist traps. From overpriced tuk-tuk rides to fake items sold at the markets, it's important to stay vigilant. Do your research before you travel, ask locals for recommendations, and never settle for the first price offered. If you're a person that likes to shop, you will find quite a few bargains in Thailand. You just need to make sure that you know what you're doing before you walk into the shop. Our final reason that you may choose somewhere other than Thailand as a place to winter in Southeast Asia is that the cost of living is getting much higher. Thailand used to be known as an extremely affordable place for Westerners to go and spend the winters. Speaking to some expats that we met, the cost of everything has risen dramatically over the past 2 or 3 years. One gentleman told me that the same apartment that he's currently renting 2 years ago was half the price. They've also told us that the average food cost is about 25% higher than it was 2 to 3 years ago as well. We use Grab rideshare as a bit of an indicator on the cost of things. Grabs were exponentially higher than they were in Bali, Malaysia, or Vietnam. We caught a Grab when we arrived in the airport at Phuket to take us to our hotel, and the cost on that was about $25. The ride was about 30 minutes long. Now, we caught one in Vietnam that was about the same time frame, and that one only cost us $12. So as you can see, time or distance aren't necessarily equal when it comes to different countries. While Thailand is getting more expensive as it continues to grow in popularity with Western travelers, it is still definitely a place that you should consider if you're looking to spend a month or more getting away from the cold North American winters. Now, as promised, here are a couple of other places in Southeast Asia that we think you should consider when planning your winter travels. Our first recommendation is for you if you're looking for a more gentle acclimatization into the different cultures of Southeast Asia, and that's Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. I think Kuala Lumpur is a fantastic city for you if you want to get acclimatized into the culture of Southeast Asia without having to jump in with both feet. It's definitely a top Southeast Asia travel destination, and while it's a huge center, you're going to find that it has great value for the dollar. If you're interested in Kuala Lumpur, make sure that you watch our video on why you'll love Kuala Lumpur. Now, if you're a bit of a more adventurous soul and you want to dive right in, I'll recommend somewhere that's a little less traveled, Nha Trang in Vietnam. We have a video coming out soon on Nha Trang where we'll tell you why we think it's the perfect place for you to spend some time in Southeast Asia. Nha Trang is a very popular destination for Vietnamese taking their holidays. It has miles and miles of white sand beaches, and it's super economical. We found it to be a lot cheaper than Thailand. Malaysia, Thailand, and Vietnam, they all have their pros and cons, but I think in the end, the good far outweighs the bad. When you sit down to plan where you're going to go next winter to get away from the ice and cold of North America, I highly recommend that you choose one of these 3 locations as the perfect spot for you to spend your winter getaway. So there you have it. Thailand offers a lot of sunshine, savings, and culture, but it does come with a few challenges that you'll need to navigate. The question is, will it be the perfect winter getaway for you? Have you visited Thailand, or are you considering it for your next adventure? Drop your thoughts or questions in the comments below, and I'll be sure to respond. Don't forget to like this video if you found it helpful, share it with friends who are considering a trip to Thailand, and hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on more travel tips, advice, and inspiration. Thanks for watching, and I can't wait to hear where your travels are going to take you next. Until next time, safe travels and stay sunny.